when you look at the other restricted free agents, guys like Anfernee Simons, Miles Bridges, Colin Sexton,
Yeah.
um, I know the Hornets or Mitch Kupchak came out and said that they're keeping Miles Bridges. Now they might just be saying that to kind of scare some teams off so that you don't get a big offer. We're not really sure, but what do you make of those free agents, and what are you hearing on that front?
Well, for Miles, I mean, look, first of all, you've got to look at the trajectory of his point to get here. So they first offered him 4 years, $60 million in Charlotte. Well, now you might be having to pay double that,
Yeah.
possibly. Um, that's going to leave an impression in some ways. But in restricted free agency, yes, Mitch Kupchak and the Hornets control things. But I think for Miles Bridges, what's interesting is, Portland goes out and gets Jeremy Grant. Do you look at the Pacers? Do you look at, the Pistons? Like where can he potentially get the sheet? Where can he potentially do a sign and trade? That's to me where you're looking at for him, because I don't necessarily get the sense that Charlotte is just going to put it all out on the table for him. And when it comes to Anfernee Simons, we touched on Anfernee Simons. I heard from four executives they're pegging him for somewhere in the 4 year, $80 million plus range, and you going up with incentives possibly. So I would look for that. And then you mentioned one more guy. Who was it?
Colin Sexton. I think he's so
Colin.
interesting with the injury history.
Well, Colin, see, here's the other thing. So you've got now, um, the Pistons were somewhat a team that could be possible for him, but then they get Jaden Ivey. Um, that kind of changes the calculus a little bit there. The Knicks had at one point been linked to him. They pretty much are going for Jalen Brunson. The Wizards, with their point guard situation, I had reported they have Tyus Jones on their free agency radar, but does Memphis, you know, try to re-sign him and bring him back? Do they
Mhm.
pay him a little bit more maybe than they want to pay a backup point guard behind John Morant? Washington, he would have a chance where he could start. But if he doesn't go there, then maybe that's an intriguing option for Colin Sexton. But, dominoes would have to fall there because, typically Washington's been a little, um, if they got two guys on the board, they're going to go with the cheaper one usually. So you have to factor that in. His injury history doesn't help. If we know one thing from Rich Paul, he's not afraid to take a qualifying offer either and take a guy into unrestricted free agency the following season. Um, it would be interesting to see how the pairing of him and Darius Garland would be again. We saw Darius become an all-star. Does Colin Sexton come off the bench and kind of that Jordan Clarkson microwave role on certain teams, or does he start on others if he ends up going elsewhere? I think that's going to be a really intriguing storyline as well, because I do think a lot of teams see him as that sixth man microwave scorer kind of guy like a Jordan Clarkson.